The ceramic plate shattered against my dining room wall, missing my head by inches. My name is Sam Mitchell, and I'm 70 years old. My daughter-in-law Nicole stood there trembling with rage, screaming, "Old egoist," because I'd asked her and my son to help with Thanksgiving groceries. My own son Leon just watched his wife throw dishes at his father. No defense, no apology, nothing. But as I swept up those ceramic pieces, I remembered something they'd both forgotten. Something that would destroy them completely. Honestly, I just discovered that for 30 months they'd been stealing from my charity foundation. Money meant for cancer patients and homeless families. They thought I was too old and naive to notice. They were wrong. I hope you'll stick around for this story, and if it resonates with you, I'd love to know where you're watching from in the comments below. Because what happened next exposed not just their greed, but showed our entire community exactly who Leon and Nicole really were. Let me back up and explain how I became the old egoist in my own home. 3 years ago, I made what seemed like a smart decision. I asked my son Leon to help manage the Mitchell Family Foundation, the charity I founded in 2004 to honor my late wife Lily's memory. The foundation supports cancer research and helps families facing medical crises, just like we did when Lily fought her battle. Leon seemed eager to help. His wife Nicole, who had experience in banking, volunteered to modernize our accounting system. "Dad, you need to focus on the big picture," Leon told me. "Let us handle the day-to-day operations." Gradually, I noticed changes, small ones at first. Board meetings moved to times I couldn't attend due to my physical therapy appointments. "Don't worry, Dad," Leon would say. "We'll handle the routine stuff." Financial reports became simplified summaries instead of detailed breakdowns. "We're streamlining everything," Nicole explained. "Less paperwork for you to worry about." Community events started featuring Leon and Nicole as the primary faces of the foundation. Local newspaper articles quoted them as foundation leadership, while describing me as the elderly founder who stepped back due to health concerns. Health concerns? I'm 70, not 90. I walk 2 miles every morning. The most telling sign came 6 months ago at the Riverside Community Awards dinner. The Mitchell Family Foundation received recognition for donating $15,000 to the homeless shelter renovation project. Leon accepted the award. Nicole gave the speech. I sat at table 12, watching strangers applaud my son for generosity funded by money I'd earned over 40 years of construction work. "Your family is so dedicated to giving back," Eleanor Hayes told me afterward. Eleanor serves on 3 nonprofit boards and has known our family for 15 years. "Leon and Nicole are doing wonderful work continuing your legacy," my legacy, as if I'd already died. But the real wake-up call came 2 weeks ago when I received an unexpected phone call. "Mr. Mitchell, this is Jennifer Carter from Carter & Associates CPA. We're conducting the annual audit for Richardson Industries' corporate giving report. They've requested detailed financial documentation for all recipient organizations, including your foundation. Richardson Industries had been our largest donor for 5 years running. Their annual $25,000 contribution kept our operations stable." "Of course," I said. "What do you need?" "All bank statements, expense reports, and vendor receipts for the past 18 months. Richardson's board requires complete transparency for their charitable tax deductions." I told her I'd coordinate with Leon and Nicole to provide everything. "Actually, Mr. Mitchell, we prefer to work directly with the legal signatory. According to our records, you're still listed as the sole trustee and financial authority for the Mitchell Family Foundation." Sole trustee. Those words hit me like cold water. I'd never transferred legal authority to anyone. Leon and Nicole had been operating under my delegated permissions, not independent control, a delegation I could revoke at any time. "I'll gather the documentation," I told Jennifer. "When do you need it?" "End of next week would be perfect." I hung up and walked to my home office, where I keep copies of all foundation paperwork in a fireproof safe. Financial statements, bank records, vendor contracts, everything Nicole claimed was too complicated for me to review regularly. It took me 3 hours to organize 18 months of documentation. It took me 30 minutes to realize we had a serious problem. The numbers didn't add up. Not even close. The preliminary audit results arrived via email at 6:47 a.m. on Monday, November 18th. I printed Jennifer Carter's report and read it twice before the magnitude hit me. Irregular expenditures totaling $340,000 identified across 30-month period beginning January 2023. $340,000. Our foundation's entire annual operating budget was only $280,000. They'd stolen more money than we legitimately spent in a full year. I sat in my kitchen staring at the numbers while my coffee grew cold. The foundation's current account balance, $125,000. Barely enough to operate for 5 months. If this became public knowledge, the Mitchell Family Foundation would collapse immediately. 20 years of charitable work destroyed. Lily's legacy erased. But the personal devastation went deeper than financial loss. 5 different cancer patients currently relied on our monthly assistance with chemotherapy transportation costs. Mrs. Rodriguez, 73 years old, couldn't drive herself to treatments 40 miles away. We paid her taxi fare, $300 monthly. 7 families received our emergency heating assistance during winter months. The Hendersons, whose 12-year-old daughter had leukemia, couldn't afford both medical bills and utility payments. We covered their heating oil, $450 monthly. The Riverside Homeless Shelter depended on our quarterly food donations. Last month alone, we provided $8,000 worth of groceries, serving approximately 200 people. If the foundation went bankrupt, these vulnerable people would lose critical support during the coldest months of the year. I pulled up the detailed expense reports Jennifer's audit had flagged. Community Outreach Solutions, LLC, $18,500 monthly consulting fees for donor relationship management. I'd never heard of this company. Professional Development Conference expenses, $12,300 for nonprofit leadership training in Hawaii. Since when did Leon and Nicole attend conferences in Hawaii? Emergency Community Response Fund, $8,700 for urgent local family assistance. No family names listed, no contact information, no follow-up reports, equipment and technology upgrades, $15,200 for foundation office modernization. We operated out of a converted Victorian house on Maple Street. What technology cost $15,000? I called the number listed for Community Outreach Solutions, LLC. The number you have dialed is not in service. I searched online for Professional Development Conference, Hawaii, November 2024. No results matching Nicole's expense report description. I drove to our foundation office and checked the supposed technology upgrades. Same computers we'd used for 3 years. Same furniture. Same outdated printer that jammed every 50 pages. But in the parking lot, I noticed something new. Leon's car. Not his old Honda Civic. A brand new Toyota 4Runner with temporary dealer plates. Base price, $42,000. I sat in my truck, staring at that SUV, feeling sick. My son was driving a vehicle worth more than most families earn in a year, funded by money intended for cancer patients and homeless families. That evening, I called my attorney, David Brennan. We'd worked together when I established the foundation's legal structure. David, I need to understand my exact legal authority over the Mitchell Family Foundation. Sam, is everything okay? Just review the paperwork. What can I legally do without anyone else's permission? 3 hours later, David called back. Sam, according to the Articles of Incorporation you signed in 2004, you retain absolute authority as sole trustee. You can hire, fire, dissolve, restructure, or redirect the foundation without consulting anyone. Leon and Nicole operate under revocable permissions you granted, not independent authority. What about financial decisions? Every bank account requires your signature for withdrawals exceeding $500. If someone's been making larger expenditures without your approval, that's potentially criminal. Criminal. I thanked David and hung up. Then I made a decision that would change everything. I opened my laptop and typed an email to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division in Portland. I am reporting suspected embezzlement from a 501c3 charitable organization. The estimated loss exceeds $300,000. I can provide comprehensive documentation. I hit send at 11:43 p.m. By Thanksgiving morning, I knew exactly what I was dealing with. My own family had turned Lily's legacy into their personal bank account, but they had no idea I'd figured it out. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I decided to test my theory. I called Leon at his marketing job downtown. Can you meet me at the foundation office? I want to review our fourth quarter budget allocations. Sure, Dad. Is 3 p.m. okay? Perfect. Bring Nicole. I'd like her input on the accounting. I arrived early and spread audit documents across the conference table. Bank statements, expense reports, and vendor invoices. Everything Jennifer Carter had flagged as suspicious. Leon walked in at 3:05, Nicole right behind him. "What's all this paperwork?" Nicole asked, glancing nervously at the documents. "Quarterly review," I said calmly. "Richardson Industries requested detailed financial documentation for their tax filings. I thought we should walk through everything together." Leon sat down, loosening his tie. "Dad, you don't need to micromanage every expense. Nicole handles the accounting perfectly." "I'm sure she does." I picked up a bank statement from September. "Help me understand this Community Outreach Solutions charge. $18,500. Nicole straightened in her chair. "That's our new consulting arrangement. Professional donor relationship management." "Interesting. What specific services do they provide?" "Strategic planning, donor outreach, grant writing assistance." "Sounds valuable. Do you have their business license number? I'd like to verify their credentials for Richardson's audit." Silence. Leon shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, why are you suddenly questioning everything? Nicole's been handling these relationships for 2 years." "I'm not questioning anything. I'm documenting everything. There's a difference." I pulled out another statement. "Professional Development Conference. $12,300 for nonprofit leadership training in Hawaii." "That was essential training," Nicole said quickly. "Modern nonprofit management requires ongoing education." "Absolutely. Which sessions did you attend? I'd like to include specific training outcomes in our annual report." Nicole's face flushed slightly. "It was a comprehensive program, multiple sessions over 4 days." "Perfect. Do you have the conference materials? Certificates of completion?" "I'd have to look for them." "Take your time. I'm not in a hurry." Leon leaned forward. "Dad, what's really going on here? You've never questioned our management before. I've never been asked to provide this level of documentation before. Richardson Industries wants complete transparency. If we can't justify these expenses, they might reconsider their annual donation." The threat of losing $25,000 got their attention immediately. "Of course we can justify everything," Nicole said, but her voice had an edge now. "I keep meticulous records." "Excellent. Let's review the Emergency Community Response Fund. $8,700 last month alone. Which families received assistance?" Another pause. "Privacy regulations prevent us from sharing specific family information," Nicole replied. "Not with the Foundation's legal trustee. I have authority to review all expenditures." "Which families?" Leon stood up abruptly. "Dad, this feels like an interrogation. Don't you trust us?" "Trust is earned through transparency. We've been busting our asses for this foundation while you've been—" "While I've been what?" Leon caught himself, but not quickly enough. "While you've been taking a back seat," he finished lamely. "Taking a back seat in the organization I founded with my own money?" The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Nicole jumped in, trying to smooth things over. "What Leon means is that you've been wise to delegate operational responsibilities. That's what good leaders do. Good leaders also maintain oversight, which brings me to the technology upgrades expense, $15,200. I gestured around the office. "I don't see $15,000 worth of new technology. Same computers, same furniture, same broken printer." "The upgrades included software licensing and cloud storage solutions," Nicole said. "Show me the invoices." "They're in digital format. I'll email them to you." "I'll wait." Nicole pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen. After 2 minutes, she looked up. "The system's running slow today. I'll send them tonight." "Perfect. I'll review them before our Thanksgiving dinner." Leon and Nicole exchanged a look that lasted exactly 3 seconds too long. "Dad," Leon said carefully, "maybe we should involve a professional accounting firm for this level of detail. Someone neutral." "Great idea. I've already contacted Carter and Associates CPA. They're conducting a comprehensive audit." The color drained from Nicole's face. "You hired an outside auditor without consulting us?" "I don't need to consult anyone. I'm the sole trustee." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Nicole's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something cold underneath. "With all due respect, Sam, you haven't been involved in day-to-day operations for 2 years. You might not understand how modern nonprofits operate." With all due respect, Nicole, I founded this organization and funded it with my life savings. I understand exactly how it should operate. Leon tried one more time. Dad, we're family. Why are we fighting about bookkeeping? We're not fighting about bookkeeping. We're clarifying accountability. I gathered the documents and stood up. I'll expect those digital invoices by tomorrow morning, all of them. As I walked toward the door, Nicole called out, Sam, are you having any memory issues? Sometimes older people get confused about financial details. I turned around slowly. My memory is perfectly clear, crystal clear. I left them sitting in that conference room surrounded by evidence of their theft, but I wasn't done yet. That evening I received an unexpected phone call. Mr. Mitchell, this is Special Agent Maria Torres with the FBI Financial Crimes Division. We received your complaint regarding possible embezzlement from the Mitchell Family Foundation. My heart rate spiked. That was fast. Nonprofit fraud is a federal priority, especially when it involves organizations serving vulnerable populations. Can you meet tomorrow to discuss the details? Of course. Portland Federal Building, 2 p.m. Bring all documentation you mentioned in your email. Wednesday afternoon, I sat across from Agent Torres in a sterile conference room filled with bankers' boxes and computer equipment. Agent Torres was younger than I'd expected, maybe 45, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She spoke with the precision of someone who'd prosecuted dozens of similar cases. Walk me through your suspicions, she said, opening a legal pad. I explained everything. The gradual exclusion from operations, the simplified financial reports, Leon and Nicole's increasing authority, and finally, the audit results that revealed $340,000 in questionable expenses. Agent Torres took notes while I talked, occasionally asking for clarification. You mentioned fake vendors. Have you attempted to contact these companies? Community Outreach Solutions LLC doesn't exist. The phone number's disconnected. What about the Hawaii conference expenses? No record of any nonprofit leadership conference matching their description in November 2024. Agent Torres nodded. Classic phantom expense scheme, very common in small nonprofit fraud cases. She pulled out a tablet and showed me a flowchart. Here's how these cases typically develop. Family member gains trust and access, gradual increase in questionable expenses, creation of fake vendors or inflation of legitimate costs. Finally, direct misappropriation of funds. The flowchart described exactly what I'd witnessed over 30 months. What's your assessment? I asked. Based on your documentation, this appears to be systematic embezzlement. The amounts involved qualify as federal crimes. If proven, your son and daughter-in-law could face significant prison time. Prison time. The words hit me like a physical blow. How significant? Wire fraud across state lines, theft from a charitable organization, potential tax evasion. We're looking at 5 to 10 years each, possibly more if they can't make full restitution. I stared at the conference room wall, trying to process the magnitude. Mr. Mitchell, I need to ask you directly. Do you want to proceed with a formal investigation? The question I'd been dreading. What happens if I don't? The theft continues. Other donors lose confidence. The foundation collapses. Vulnerable people lose services. And if I do proceed, we build a case, execute search warrants, freeze assets. Your family members get arrested, probably in public. The local media covers the story extensively. Public arrest, media coverage, the Mitchell family name destroyed. But Lily's voice echoed in my memory. Charity isn't about feeling good, Sam. It's about doing right. Agent Torres, how long does an investigation typically take? With solid documentation like yours, 6 to 8 weeks for the initial case building. We'd start with financial analysis, interview witnesses, gather additional evidence. When would arrests happen? Depends on flight risk and evidence strength. If subjects aren't cooperating or we suspect they're destroying evidence, we move quickly. I thought about Leon's new Toyota 4Runner and Nicole's increasingly expensive wardrobe. They don't know I've discovered the theft, yet. That's actually perfect. Gives us time to build an airtight case before they can cover their tracks. Agent Torres leaned forward. Mr. Mitchell, I won't lie to you. This investigation will tear your family apart. Are you prepared for that? I looked at the photos on her desk. Families receiving foundation assistance, children in cancer treatment, elderly people getting heating support. Agent Torres, they've already torn the family apart. I'm just exposing what they've done. All right, let's proceed formally. She opened a new file folder. First step, we need you to continue normal interactions. Don't let them know about this investigation. Can you do that? I think so. Second, document everything going forward. Every conversation, every expense, every interaction. We'll provide you with recording equipment if necessary. Recording equipment. I felt like a character in a crime drama. Third, if they ask about the audit, deflect. Tell them it's routine. Don't mention specific concerns. What about Thanksgiving dinner? They'll be at my house tomorrow. Agent Torres paused. Act normally. Don't confront them. Don't ask probing questions. Just observe and remember. She handed me a business card with her direct number written on the back. Call me immediately if anything unusual happens. If they seem panicked, if they mention leaving town, if they ask about transferring money, anything that suggests they know they're under suspicion. I pocketed the card. What happens next? We start financial analysis tomorrow. Bank records, credit reports, asset searches. Within 2 weeks, we'll know exactly how much they've stolen and where the money went. And then we decide how to proceed. But Mr. Mitchell, once we start this process, there's no going back. Your relationship with your son will never be the same. I stood up and shook her hand. It's already not the same. I just didn't realize it until now. Driving home, I thought about the foundation bylaws sitting in my home safe. The documents David Brennan had explained gave me absolute authority over the organization. Leon and Nicole thought they'd gradually taken control. They had no idea I retained the power to dissolve the entire foundation with a single signature. They had no idea the FBI was already building a case against them. They had no idea that their carefully constructed theft operation was about to collapse completely. But tomorrow was Thanksgiving. Tomorrow I'd sit at my dinner table with 2 people who'd been systematically stealing from cancer patients and homeless families for 30 months. Tomorrow I'd smile and pass the potatoes to federal criminals. Tomorrow I'd pretend everything was normal while planning their complete destruction. The irony was almost poetic. Thanksgiving morning arrived gray and cold, typical November weather in Riverside. I spent 3 hours preparing dinner. 22-pound turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, and Lily's famous stuffing recipe. The kind of spread that normally brought the family together. But nothing about this Thanksgiving felt normal. Leon and Nicole arrived at 2 p.m., carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than most families spend on groceries for a week. "Happy Thanksgiving, Dad," Leon said, embracing me with what felt like genuine warmth. For a moment, I questioned everything. Maybe I'd made a mistake. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Then I noticed Nicole's jewelry. Diamond earrings I'd never seen before. A gold bracelet that caught the light when she moved. A designer handbag sitting by the front door. How much did those cost? Where did a part-time bookkeeper get money for luxury accessories? "Something smells incredible," Nicole said, kissing my cheek. "You've outdone yourself." The same woman who'd thrown a plate at me was now playing the perfect daughter-in-law. We sat down to eat at 3 p.m., just like Lily and I used to do when she was alive. "Let's say grace," I suggested. We held hands around the table. "Dear Lord, thank you for this food, this family, and this opportunity to be together. Help us be grateful for our blessings and mindful of those less fortunate. Amen." "Amen," Leon and Nicole echoed. Mindful of those less fortunate, like the cancer patients whose support funds they'd stolen. We ate in relative peace for 20 minutes. Leon talked about his marketing projects. Nicole described a cooking class she'd taken. Normal family conversation. Then I made my move. "By the way, I spoke with Jennifer Carter yesterday, the CPA handling Richardson Industries audit." Nicole's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "She mentioned they'll need additional documentation for some of our vendor relationships. Apparently their corporate compliance department has new requirements." "What kind of additional documentation?" Leon asked. "Business licenses, service contracts, outcome reports, standard verification for any contractor receiving more than $10,000 annually." Nicole set down her fork. "That seems excessive." "Not really. Richardson Industries donates $25,000 per year. They have fiduciary responsibility to verify how their money gets used." "Of course," Leon said quickly. "We'll provide whatever they need." "Good. Jennifer specifically mentioned community outreach solutions. They want to verify the $18,500 in monthly consulting fees. Silence stretched across the table like a fault line. I told her you'd have all the documentation ready by Monday, I continued. Nicole's voice was carefully controlled. Some of those files might take time to locate. Take all the time you need. Richardson's audit isn't due until December 15th. I could see the mental calculation in her eyes. 3 weeks to figure out how to explain phantom vendor payments. Dad, Leon said, maybe this is a good time to discuss foundation management going forward. Oh? Nicole and I have been talking. We think it might be time to bring in professional leadership, someone with modern nonprofit expertise. I cut my turkey methodically. What kind of professional leadership? An executive director, someone with experience running mid-sized charitable organizations. Interesting idea. What would happen to my role? Nicole jumped in. You'd remain the founder and chairman emeritus. Honorary position, very respected. Honorary position. What about day-to-day authority? The executive director would handle operations, Leon explained. You'd be free to focus on vision and legacy. Vision and legacy while they continued stealing. Have you identified potential candidates? Actually, Nicole has some excellent qualifications. Her banking background, her understanding of our systems. I looked at Nicole, who was trying to appear humble while angling for complete control. You want to promote yourself to executive director? Only if you think it's appropriate, she said. I've essentially been doing the job already. What about salary? Executive directors earn significant compensation. Market rate, Leon said. Probably $75,000 to $80,000 annually. $75,000, on top of whatever they were already stealing. That's substantial, I said. We'd need board approval. Of course, but the board trusts your judgment. The board consisted of 3 people, myself, Eleanor Hayes, and Dr. Patricia Morrison from the local hospital. Both women respected my decisions, but rarely questioned foundation management. When were you thinking of implementing this change? Soon, Nicole said. Maybe after the holidays. After they'd had time to cover their tracks. I'll consider it, I said, serving myself more stuffing. The conversation moved to safer topics. Holiday plans, weather, local news. At 6 p.m., I offered coffee and pie. Actually, Dad, we should head out, Leon said. Nicole's family is expecting us for dessert. Of course, let me pack some leftovers. While I wrapped turkey and pie in the kitchen, I heard them talking quietly in the dining room. Needs to happen faster. Can't wait until January. If that auditor keeps digging... I couldn't make out complete sentences, but the urgency was unmistakable. They were panicking. I returned with plastic containers full of food. Here you go, enough for several meals. Thanks, Dad. This was wonderful. Leon hugged me goodbye. Nicole kissed my cheek again. Oh, one more thing, I said as they reached the front door. I have scheduled an emergency board meeting for December 3rd. Both of them froze. Emergency meeting? Leon asked. Richardson Industries moved up their audit deadline. We need to review all financial documentation before we submit anything official. December 3rd is less than 2 weeks away, Nicole said. I know. I hope that's enough time to gather everything. They exchanged another one of those looks. We'll be ready, Nicole said, but her smile looked strained. After they left, I stood in my empty dining room, surrounded by dirty dishes and the lingering smell of turkey. My phone buzzed with a text message. Agent Torres. How did dinner go? I typed back. They're accelerating their timeline, planning major changes after holidays. Understood. We're expediting analysis. We'll call tomorrow. I spent the evening cleaning up, but my mind was elsewhere. Tomorrow was Black Friday. Tomorrow, Leon and Nicole would probably go shopping, spending more stolen money on discounted luxury items. Tomorrow, I would make some calls of my own. Because if they wanted to accelerate their timeline, I could accelerate mine too. The difference was I held all the legal authority, and I wasn't alone anymore. Black Friday morning, 6 a.m. My phone rang while I was drinking coffee and reading the newspaper. Mr. Mitchell? Agent Torres? We've completed the preliminary financial analysis. What did you find? It's worse than your initial estimate. Total misappropriated funds, $412,000 over 30 months. $412,000. That's more than the Foundation's entire liquid assets, I said. Correct. They've essentially bankrupted the organization, but we've identified where the money went. I grabbed a pen and notepad. Leon and Nicole purchased a house in August using a down payment of $85,000. Cash. The Toyota 4Runner you mentioned. $42,000. Also cash. Credit card payments totaling $63,000 for luxury items, vacations, and restaurants. The numbers kept coming. Additionally, they've been paying themselves salaries through fake vendor accounts. $18,500 monthly to Community Outreach Solutions, which is registered to a P.O. box Nicole rented under her maiden name. What about the Hawaii conference? Personal vacation, first-class flights, 5-star resort, spa treatments. Total cost, $12,300 charged to the foundation's credit card. I felt sick. Agent Torres, what's our next step? We execute search warrants Monday morning. Their house, the foundation office, all computers and financial records. But Mr. Mitchell, there's something else you need to know. What? Nicole contacted a travel agent yesterday. She inquired about flights to countries without extradition treaties. My blood went cold. She's planning to run? Possibly. We're monitoring their financial accounts for any large withdrawals or transfers. If they attempt to flee, we'll arrest them immediately. What do you need me to do? Continue acting normally. If they contact you today, don't mention anything suspicious. We're 24 hours away from having enough evidence for federal indictments. After hanging up, I sat in my kitchen processing the magnitude. $412,000. Lily and I had lived frugally for 45 years, saving every dollar we could to fund the foundation. I'd worked construction jobs until I was 65, often 10-hour days in brutal weather. Every dollar they'd stolen represented hours of my physical labor. Every dollar they'd stolen was supposed to help families facing medical crises. At 9 a.m., my lawyer David Brennan called. Sam, I've reviewed the foundation bylaws in detail. We need to discuss your options. What options? You have the legal authority to immediately terminate Leon and Nicole's access to all foundation accounts, revoke their signatory privileges, and remove them from any official positions. How quickly? I can file the paperwork today. By Monday morning, they'll have zero financial access. Do it. There's more. As sole trustee, you can also dissolve the foundation entirely if you determine it's been irreparably compromised. Dissolve the foundation. 20 years of charitable work ended with a signature. What would happen to the remaining funds? You'd distribute them to similar charitable organizations. The money would still help people, just through different channels. And Leon and Nicole? They'd lose any claim to future involvement, permanently. At 11 a.m., Eleanor Hayes called. As a foundation board member, she'd received David's official notice about the emergency governance changes. Sam, what's happening? David's paperwork mentions immediate termination of all subsidiary management roles. Eleanor had been Lily's closest friend. She deserved to know the truth. Eleanor, can you meet me for lunch? I need to explain something confidential. We met at Murphy's Diner downtown. Over coffee and sandwiches, I told her everything. Eleanor listened without interrupting, her expression growing more horrified with each detail. $400,000? She whispered. The FBI confirmed it yesterday. My God, Sam, what are you going to do? Whatever's necessary to protect the Foundation's mission. Eleanor reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Lily would be proud of you for standing up to this. Lily would be heartbroken that it was necessary. No. She'd be heartbroken that Leon and Nicole chose theft over integrity. She'd be proud that you chose courage over family comfort. That afternoon, I received the documents from David. Legal papers that restored my complete authority over every aspect of the Foundation. Leon and Nicole's bank access, terminated. Their signatory privileges, revoked. Their official roles, eliminated. At 3 p.m., I drove to the Foundation office and changed all the locks. At 4 p.m., I updated all online banking passwords. At 5 p.m., I called the bank and flagged both their accounts for suspicious activity monitoring. By evening, Leon and Nicole had gone from Foundation management to complete exclusion. They just didn't know it yet. Saturday morning, Leon called. Dad, I tried to access the Foundation accounts to process some November payments, but the system won't accept my login. Oh? That's strange. Can you check with Nicole? Maybe the bank updated their security protocols. I'll look into it. Thanks. Also, we wanted to schedule a time to discuss the executive director transition. Maybe next week? Sure. How about December 3rd, the same day as our emergency board meeting? Perfect. We'll bring all the documentation Richardson Industries requested. Excellent. I'm looking forward to reviewing everything. After hanging up, I almost felt sorry for them. They were planning to present fake documentation to justify their theft. They had no idea the FBI was building a federal case against them. They had no idea I'd already revoked all their authority. They had no idea that in 72 hours they'd be under arrest. Sunday evening, Agent Torres called with the final update. Mr. Mitchell, we're executing search warrants Monday at 8 a.m. Are you prepared for what's going to happen? As prepared as I can be. Media will likely cover the story. Federal agents arresting local nonprofit managers generates significant attention. I understand. One more thing. The Foundation's Christmas charity gala is scheduled for December 15th, correct? Yes. 300 people. Our biggest fundraising event of the year. Perfect timing. By then we'll have filed formal charges. You'll be able to address the community with complete transparency about what happened and how you're rebuilding. The Christmas Gala, where Lily and I used to celebrate another year of successful charitable work, where this year I'd have to explain how our own family had betrayed everything we'd built. Agent Torres, will the Foundation survive this? With your leadership and community support? Absolutely. Donors respond positively when organizations demonstrate strong oversight and accountability. Monday morning, I woke up knowing it would be the day everything changed. By evening, Leon and Nicole would be in federal custody. By evening, the Mitchell family name would be associated with charity fraud instead of community service. By evening, I'd have lost my son but saved Lily's legacy. The choice had been made for me 30 months ago when they wrote their first fraudulent check. I was just finally strong enough to act on it. Monday, November 29th, 8:03 a.m. I was drinking coffee when I heard the first car doors slam in my driveway. Through the kitchen window, I watched 6 FBI agents in dark suits walk toward Leon and Nicole's front door. They lived in the Foundation's guest house, 200 yards from my main residence. Agent Torres had given me exact timing. Search warrants executed simultaneously at their home and the Foundation office. I didn't need to watch, but I couldn't look away. The knock was loud enough to hear from my kitchen. Professional, authoritative, unmistakably federal. Leon answered the door in pajamas and a bathrobe. I saw him step backward, mouth moving, hands gesturing. Nicole appeared beside him, pulling a robe tight around her shoulders. Agent Torres showed them the warrant. More agents carried boxes of equipment into the house. Computers, cameras, evidence bags. This was really happening. At 8:47 a.m., Leon called me. Dad, the FBI is searching our house. They have a warrant, something about Foundation financial irregularities. His voice was high, panicked. That's terrible, I said. Do you know what they're looking for? They mentioned embezzlement. Dad, this is insane. We've done nothing wrong. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. Have you called a lawyer? We can't afford a lawyer. The irony was staggering. They couldn't afford a lawyer because they'd spent $400,000 stolen dollars on luxury items instead of saving money. Leon, I'll help however I can. Thanks, Dad. I knew you'd support us. Support them. After hanging up, I walked to my home office and pulled out the Foundation's Articles of Incorporation, the document that gave me absolute authority over the organization. At 10:15 a.m., David Brennan called. Sam, it's done. I've filed eviction notices for the Foundation property. Leon and Nicole have 30 days to vacate, but given the circumstances, I recommend they leave immediately. What about their personal belongings? They can retrieve everything under law enforcement supervision, standard procedure in financial crime cases. At 11:30 a.m., Agent Torres called. Mr. Mitchell, we found everything. Bank records, falsified invoices, email correspondence detailing their scheme. This is one of the most thoroughly documented nonprofit fraud cases I've seen. What happens next? Federal grand jury indictment, probably by Wednesday. Arrest warrants by Friday. Where will they be arrested? Depends where they are when we serve the warrants. Home, work, public location, wherever we find them. At 2 p.m., I drove to the Foundation office. The FBI had finished their search, leaving behind yellow tape and evidence receipts. But the building was still mine. I unlocked the front door and walked through rooms that suddenly felt different. This was where Nicole had processed fraudulent vendor payments. This was where Leon had signed fake consulting contracts. This was where they'd systematically stolen money intended for cancer patients and homeless families. I sat at my old desk and typed a letter on Foundation letterhead to all Foundation donors and community partners. Recent audit results have revealed serious financial irregularities within the Mitchell Family Foundation. Federal authorities are investigating these matters. As founder and sole trustee, I am implementing immediate governance changes to ensure complete transparency and accountability moving forward. At 4 p.m., Eleanor Hayes arrived for an emergency board meeting. Sam, how are you holding up? Better than I expected. The FBI search made the local news. Channel 8 ran a story about Foundation investigation. What did they say? Basic facts. Federal agents, financial irregularities, ongoing investigation. They mentioned Leon and Nicole by name. By name. Their reputations destroyed in a 30-second news segment. Eleanor, I need board approval for immediate changes. New banking procedures, professional accounting oversight, independent financial audits. Of course, whatever you need. I also need to discuss the Christmas gala. Should we cancel? Eleanor considered carefully. No. The community needs to see that the foundation will continue, that good people won't let criminals destroy 20 years of charitable work. At 6 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Dad, they took our computers and phones, using neighbor's phone. We need money for attorney. Can you transfer $5,000 to our bank account? $5,000. After stealing $400,000, they wanted me to fund their legal defense. I typed back, contact your attorney directly. Foundation funds cannot be used for personal legal expenses. Please, Dad, we're family. Family. I turned off my phone and went to bed early. Tomorrow, the community would wake up to news that the Mitchell Family Foundation had been systematically looted by my own son and daughter-in-law. Tomorrow, I'd start rebuilding everything they'd destroyed. Tonight, I slept better than I had in months. Wednesday, December 1st, 6:45 a.m. Agent Torres called with the news I'd been expecting. Grand jury returned indictments yesterday evening. Leon Mitchell and Nicole Mitchell, federal charges: wire fraud, theft from a charitable organization, money laundering, and tax evasion. When will they be arrested? This morning. We're coordinating with local law enforcement for a public arrest. Public. They'll be taken into custody at Leon's workplace. Maximum visibility, standard procedure for white-collar crime. At 9:15 a.m., local news broke the story. 2 people connected to the Mitchell Family Foundation have been arrested on federal fraud charges. Leon Mitchell, 42, and Nicole Mitchell, 38, are accused of stealing over $400,000 from the charitable organization founded by Leon's father. I watched the footage on Channel 8. Leon walked out of his marketing company in handcuffs, FBI agents on either side. Nicole was arrested at the grocery store, her designer handbag confiscated as evidence. Both arrests filmed by news cameras. Both faces clearly visible. Both names repeated multiple times. The reporter continued. The Mitchell Family Foundation provides support for cancer patients and homeless families throughout the Riverside area. According to federal prosecutors, the defendants used foundation credit cards for personal vacations, luxury purchases, and even a house down payment. By noon, the story had gone viral on social media. Local Facebook groups exploded with comments. Disgusting. Stealing from cancer patients. I donated to that foundation. Where did my money go? How could they steal from homeless families? Sam Mitchell must be devastated. At 1 p.m., Eleanor Hayes called. Sam, Richardson Industries just contacted me. They want to schedule an emergency meeting about their continued support. Do they want to withdraw funding? Actually, no. They want to increase it. Their CEO said Sam Mitchell's integrity in exposing family theft demonstrates exactly the kind of leadership they want to support. At 3 p.m., Dr. Patricia Morrison called from the hospital. Sam, we've received dozens of calls from potential donors, people who want to support the foundation specifically because you had the courage to prosecute your own family. Really? Community members are saying you chose cancer patients over family loyalty. That's the kind of principled leadership people want to support. By Thursday, donations started pouring in. Local businesses pledged support. Individual donors wrote checks. Even people I'd never met sent money with notes. Thank you for doing the right thing. Friday morning, I met with Agent Torres for the final briefing. Asset forfeiture hearing is Monday. We'll seize their house, vehicles, jewelry, and all luxury items purchased with stolen funds. What about restitution? Full restitution ordered. $412,000 plus penalties and court costs. Total, $630,000. Can they pay it? Not immediately. But asset seizure will recover approximately $200,000. The rest will be garnished from future earnings for the next 15 years. Prison sentences? Plea negotiations are underway. If they accept responsibility, probably 5 years each. If they fight the charges and lose at trial, 8 to 10 years. Monday's asset seizure made front-page news. The Riverside Tribune ran photos of federal agents removing furniture, artwork, and electronics from Leon and Nicole's house. The Toyota 4Runner loaded onto a flatbed truck. Nicole's designer clothing packed into evidence boxes. Everything they'd bought with stolen charity money, confiscated by the government. Tuesday, December 7th, I received a handwritten letter from the county jail. Dad, please don't let this destroy our family. We made mistakes, but we're still your son and daughter-in-law. Please visit us. Please forgive us. We love you. The letter was signed by both Leon and Nicole. I read it twice, then filed it with all the other legal documents. Wednesday, their attorney called requesting a meeting. Mr. Mitchell, my clients want to discuss a settlement agreement. They're prepared to cooperate fully with restitution if you'll consider supporting reduced sentences. What kind of cooperation? Complete confession, detailed accounting of all stolen funds, assistance recovering any remaining assets. And in exchange? They hope you might speak at their sentencing hearing about their character, their family relationship, their potential for rehabilitation. I thought about Mrs. Rodriguez, the 73-year-old cancer patient whose transportation funding they'd stolen. I thought about the Henderson family, whose heating assistance they'd diverted to vacation expenses. I thought about the homeless shelter clients who went without food while Leon and Nicole bought luxury handbags. I'll speak at their sentencing hearing, I told the attorney. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. That means I'll speak about the 400 families who lost charitable support because your clients chose personal greed over public service. Silence. I'll speak about the breach of trust, the systematic theft, and the complete lack of remorse until they got caught. Mr. Mitchell, that's not exactly what we had in mind. It's exactly what they'll get. The hearing was scheduled for December 20th, 5 days after our Christmas charity gala. Perfect timing. December 15th, 7 p.m. The Riverside Convention Center had never looked more beautiful. 300 people, filled tables decorated with white linens and winter centerpieces. Local business leaders, foundation donors, community volunteers, and dozens of families we'd helped over the years. I stood at the podium looking out at faces filled with support and respect. Good evening, and thank you for coming to the Mitchell Family Foundation's 20th Annual Christmas Gala. Applause filled the room. This year has tested our organization in ways Lily and I never imagined when we founded this foundation, but it has also revealed the true strength of our community. I paused, gathering my thoughts. 3 weeks ago, federal agents arrested my son and daughter-in-law for stealing over $400,000 from foundation accounts, money intended for cancer patients, homeless families, and emergency assistance programs. The room was completely silent. I could have covered up the theft. I could have quietly addressed the problem internally, but that would have betrayed every family depending on our services. Tonight, I want you to know, the Mitchell Family Foundation will continue stronger than ever. Eleanor Hayes joined me on stage carrying a ceremonial check. Thanks to community support, we've raised $850,000 in new donations over the past 3 weeks, enough to restore all stolen funds and expand our program significantly. Standing ovation. Richardson Industries has increased their annual contribution to $50,000. Riverside General Hospital has committed to matching donations up to $100,000 annually. 17 local businesses have pledged ongoing monthly support. More applause. But most importantly, we've implemented new governance structures, professional accounting oversight, independent audits, and board supervision of all expenditures. I looked directly into the crowd. Lily always said charity begins with character. This foundation will embody that principle going forward. After the formal program, people approached me throughout the evening. Thank you for choosing integrity over family. You did the right thing.
Lily would be proud. At 10 p.m., as the last guest departed, Eleanor and I stood alone in the empty convention center. "Sam, how do you feel?" "Peaceful. For the first time in months. Completely peaceful." "Any regrets?" "Only that it took so long to act." "What's next?" "Tomorrow, I start interviewing candidates for executive director."
Someone with impeccable credentials and no family connections. I looked around the empty room, imagining Lily beside me. The foundation will survive this, Eleanor, stronger and better. Because of you. Because of principles that matter more than family comfort. If you face difficult family boundaries, I'd love to hear your story. Comment below and let me know where you're watching from. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is showing that trust has consequences.